recording and unmute myself. So yeah, thank you for contributing. I know that this could take a little bit of a time. This will be part of the homework assigned for this week to continue, engaging with VoiceThread to get you into using it as a different tool for, interaction and engaging in online forums. This is another type of online forums. So I've been asking people, I went around the rooms and asked them to, select one of the questions and make sure that everybody's contributing. So this is not just one person posting, but this is everybody in the group addressing one of the questions in the slide. So I will expect to see people. Now, if I were to answer to your post toolkart, I will click on your face or your name, in this case, your name. And then if you want to continue the conversation from somebody else who has put something there and you want to say, make a comment, you just need to click here on reply. And then I could respond to you whether, with different tools. So there's a video, voice, or text. And let's see what people come up with. No, I didn't respond, but yeah, you could respond to individual posts, or so those responses are individual, become like a circle here. But if there are more general posts addressing the online forum, you go into the big plus symbol there. I'm looking forward to seeing your contributions. We'll get back to this in week 6. And we will engage with, an asynchronous interaction in that sense with its VoiceThread. So let's move on then. We'll get back to the PowerPoint. It's not a PowerPoint, it's a Google slide. There you go. So the question here is, in teaching in online environments, are the roles of the online teacher similar to the roles of the teacher who teaches face-to-face? What are your thoughts? Based on what you have seen, obviously you all experience face-to-face teaching at the university. Are these roles the same? If they're not...
actually, maybe answer or no.
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
I mean, yesterday I was actually reflecting on, so what is the difference between like teaching online and teaching face to face for me as a student? Then I saw, okay, it's just the medium differs for me. Teacher is the same. It doesn't matter if it's like in, let's say, in a classroom or on my screen. So basically, if I have interaction, if I have conversation, and if I am heard, even I am better heard in online rather than face to face because too many students there. And yeah, for me, teaching presence matters, because when I compare to MOOCs I dropped, then I was like, maybe it is because of there wasn't any teaching presence, no interaction with, let's say, authority, and I was all alone. So for me, I figure out that it doesn't matter. It's actually for me the mind shifting, because my background was totally traditional in person. I never tried the online environment, like learning environment before. So I was like, yeah, like teaching presence matters, but it doesn't matter the if it's online or face to face.
Right, that's interesting to see, because you're speaking from the perspective of the student. You mentioned this, and how you perceive things, because you see we meet online on weekly basis, synchronously in Zoom. But what would your experience be the same experience as the experience from the distance learners who really cannot come to the sessions today, and they're just interacting fully online without these spaces? So maybe the response will be a bit different, and they could think a bit more about what differences of face-to-face and online learning are. Any other comments on this? And it's important as well to mention that in the past this unit didn't have synchronous conversations, we started incorporating them more and more as, after COVID. They were not mandatory for on-site learners. So they were more as drop-in sessions. So students would decide to come or not. That was kind of their choice. We made them mandatory because, full-time students do have different responsibilities from part-time students. So in that sense, they became mandatory for on-site students. Any other comments on this question?
I think that one will be different. Yeah,
Okay.
in our case, even if will not be mandatory, I think it is better to be a mandatory rather than giving the choice to students, honestly.
But that's the thing, we have two different approaches because we have different students, and that's another thing to think about when you're a tutor. Will your online course have part-time students and full-time students? How you're going to cater for both, and what kind of instructions you're going to create for both? Because at the end of the day, they are coming from different angles and different, times in which they can really dedicate to study the materials and to engage in, conversations that are asynchronous. That's why our online forums are important, and you could see their contributions there, but you might not see as much of them in the classroom, because again, we have different needs. One, from the perspective as a tutor, I can tell you that online teaching is more demanding, because compared to my face-to-face teaching, that I go into the classroom and I forget about my students the whole week until I see them again the next week. In online learning, I need to be constantly monitoring Canvas, responding asynchronously to the interactions. Distance learners might send emails from time to time, so I need to be constantly checking. It's more demanding because it involves a lot of time. Sometimes one small post could take a few minutes or 30 minutes, or sometimes an hour to respond to, because you're formulating, you're thinking, you're responding not to one person but to every single post. And I don't do that when I teach face to face, so I just leave the classroom and I'm gone. Next week I'll see you. But as a tutor, you do invest more time in these asynchronous interactions. For instance, just an example. So when we talk about online learning, then we talk about the tutor more as a facilitator rather than the person that tells you what to do and how to do things and decides on what assessment you do, and you do everything just to the letter. Facilitation is about getting students to participate, to create knowledge, to exchange knowledge, to yes, it is true that in this course unit, there's a lot of, especially in the first part of the session, input, but we also have group activities and group work, which at this point in this cohort, it's been a bit challenging because I've noticed that some people, don't come to the sessions, which I will email them individually. And that kind of creates, where is the rest of my teaming group? But at the end of the day, is all about engaging students in interaction so that they are sharing, talking together, interacting, creating knowledge, and then feeding that knowledge back to the tutor. So there is more information and there's more reading to do as part of what facilitation is. You go into section 4.4 in Canvas, we have provided some links to reading about the role of the tutor in online learning. So for instance, Celie Gallman talks about e-moderation or e-moderating, and Garrison and colleagues, they do talk about the role of facilitating the classroom, and giving the power, the voice back to students. We go back to the ideas of flexible learning, where students are expected to be developers of knowledge and not just consumers of knowledge. You can see as well a 5-stage model by Gilly Salmon as well, and there's a link to her website where she explains every step of the model. And this is going to be something for you to take as well as homework, because you do need to think about in what stage of this 5-stage model you are currently in this course unit. And that it is time for you to think about what stage am I. So let's have a look at the stages then. So we have the stages of I'm not sure if you can see, but you can always go back into this one here that is probably a bit clearer. So the first stage here of the online model that Silly Gallman promotes is that of access and purposeful reasons. So basically, you give access to your students to the materials in your course. You give them a purpose. You give them clear instructions about what it is that they need to be doing, how, what kind of interactions are going to be, expected to engage with. So it is all about access and motivation. Getting students, we know that in online learning, a lot of students, part-time students, full students who really want to do an online courses because they are highly motivated. But it's about starting that interactive process where students are introducing their identities. This is the second stage, which is called online socialization. We've seen this in week 1. We talked about how can you establish your online presence, from introducing yourself, from talking to other people who might have similar experiences. And for that, in this course, we have created this online forum as well for you to engage with that initial introduction. So stage 2 is all about individuals establishing their personal identities. And this is where you can make emphasis of, put a recent picture of yourself, create your biography, make sure that you introduce yourself, and then you contact other people who you are finding interesting. Step 3 is about engaging in mutual exchange of information. So this is the stage where students are asked to participate in different group work activities. So there's a lot of group work, mutual exchange. They work together to do tasks. That connects very, very well with the stage of collaboration and interaction, team-oriented activities, and that is stage 4. Now, in these team-oriented activities, purposefully, the assessment or a type of assessment, either formative or summative, can come into play because students are creating content, they're creating knowledge, they come together to put a contribution. That could be a simple contribution in an online forum where students are voicing their opinions, voicing their learning, voicing their reflections, and that is knowledge construction as well, as as part of a team, but also as part of the whole community. The idea of online learning nowadays is forming a community that is online, where students feel that they belong. And the final stage is that stage of, okay, developing that product, developing your knowledge, but also sharing your knowledge. So students, again, there's a lot of collaboration. There's a lot of students working together and cooperating to undertake different responsibilities, to create that knowledge, to share that knowledge, and that is a last stage, development, support, understanding of the unit, of the learning outcomes. So the question would be for you then is, in what stage do you think you are individually in this course? The idea is that, by the end of the course, everybody has developed and produced some knowledge, which you do when you write your collaborative assignment, when you write your individual reflection. And you do this well that throughout engaging in the different online forums, for instance. That's why, we always emphasize, put your contribution there. Don't leave it till last minute. Don't leave it till the end. So it's part of this model. So this model, in a way, when this unit was originally designed, was considered in the design as well. And how does, if we go back to the ideas of pedagogy, just as an exercise, what kind of pedagogy do you think this model follows? That's another question you could think of. For homework, we'll get there. But yeah, that's another, how is this model informed by a specific pedagogy? I could tell you, yes, there are some pedagogies involved in this model, but you could explore more, if you're really, really interested. So one of the pedagogies is experiential learning. The students are learning from experience by working together. And also there's a bit of reflection there. And there's another one involved, but I leave it to you to think about, and then I'll probably ask you about this in week 6, in week 7. Okay, yes, sorry.
Is it kind of knowledge building?
Yes, knowledge building, co-construction, yes, definitely. The constructivist approach that we've seen. Finally, Garrison as well and colleagues, they talk about online presence, which we have covered previously in week 1. And they talk about, the tutor and the students as collaborators working together to build a community. So there's a teaching presence that you were mentioning before, Ulkar. The social presence that involves tutors and students working together and collaborating and engaging in online forums and asynchronous interactions and synchronous interactions. So there's a lot of work involved as well for students who might just go into a face-to-face class and stay quiet the whole time, and then they're not asked to collaborate in online forums, for instance, or go back to your group work. That's another difference from perspective of students. Cognitive presence. The cognitive presence is a lot about, to what extent you, as the person that is engaging with materials, to what extent you contribute to developing knowledge. And that is, again, your input in the different synchronous interactions and asynchronous interactions that we have. So basically, they do talk about, Garrison et al., about these different creating presence. There's a social, the cognitive, the educational, and there's a new one as well, which came out of some research I did in the past in 2020, where students, we've seen this honeycomb before in week 2, where students were collaborating in an online project. And from that research, we added the transactional presence, and that means students feeling part of a community and not just like, I did a course, but I didn't know who my group members were, for instance. So there you go, some of the ideas about online presence as part of, one of the decision-making choices to take into account when you are designing a course unit. Homework, there's a homework there, a Padlet for you to finish. So the idea is then that you think about what stage you are in the Thalamus model, and you put your contribution in the question 3. I put a picture of the model, which is basically a web tab there, in case you need to know and remember what each stage was about. You just click there, and you can revise that bit of information. The second bit of homework then is to, well, that's actually the same homework. What was homework 1? Yeah, homework 1 is about forming assignment groups. I'm going to send an email on this. So in Canvas, if you go to page 4.6, no, it's after 4.6, you need to go to this page here. Here. We have created this Padlet for you to put your initial idea for the topic you want to talk about and develop for your assignment. So this is the first moment in which we're asking you to think about the assignment. individually what kind of topic you want to engage with. Put an advertisement, basically. If you say, I want to do, a topic that, focuses on group work in online learning. And the idea is that you find other people to work with. We've said this before. We don't assign people in group works, especially for the assignment. You need to find somebody to work with and negotiate what kind of topic you want to do for the assignment. So this is a space where you could initially tell us about your idea for the assignment. The idea is that other people read that and contact you, say, oh, I want to do this as well. Can I be part of your group? There are instructions to follow. So ideally, the group should be 4 people and no more. Because we are only 16 people in the course, so we need to kind of, be even as well. And that's the homework, actually, from forming group assignments. And we will take up on this next week. But the idea is that you start now your search for your group members, because then week 6, week 7, we talk about the assignment, week 7, and then you go away and you have to write the assignment. So you do need to be really proactive in finding somebody to work with from this week. Don't waste the time this week. That's my best advice. That's it for homework. Don't forget to carry on working in voice thread. And that's it. I'm aware that we have a guest today that's going to talk about, well, pretty much invite you to her research project. Yilan, are you here?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you well. Would you like to tell us about your research and make this invitation?
Thanks, Nayeli.
Yeah, over to you.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Hope everything is going well with you in this semester. I would like to take about 5 minutes to briefly introduce my research and to recruit some of you who show interest in my research as participants. I am Ilan, a second-year PhD student in education at our university, doing research of Chinese international student experience in group work. As many of you, I completed my master's study in the UK, and most of my study time was in China. I'm quite not sure whether you have the same feeling as mine. Although I had experience doing homework in China, I still encounter several difficulties in doing group work in the UK. For example, sometimes my silence might be misunderstood as passive learning, and I was not satisfied with my peers' behaviors, but I didn't know how to deal with it. Based on my own experience, I do my PhD research on group work, and this research aims to let the Western education know more of our Chinese student understanding and experience in doing homework, doing group work. And so I need your experience and suggestions, and I want Chinese international student voice to be heard by the Western education. So if you are a Chinese international student attending this course, you will be my target participant. If you agree to participate in my research, there will be 3 times individual interview with me. Each will last for about 45 minutes and will be audio recorded. I promise to keep privacy of the recording and everything you mentioned in our interview. And the interview time is quite flexible and could be adjusted according to your convenience. Any of your deadlines and holidays will be avoided. And the interview could be either online or face-to-face. Even though I cannot pay you for your participation, I suppose there will be some benefit if you participate. For example, especially for those who plan to use interview as the research method in your master dissertation, this would be a good opportunity for you to learn how to conduct and practice an academic interview. I'm also very glad to discuss my interview design and strategies with you. And also, you can put this research attendance in your CV, and I'm glad to provide you with some details. It is because the interview is like a dialogue between you and me instead of lots of questions to be asked or to be answered. This interview will be a good opportunity for you to generate new ideas and to see the world from another perspective. Finally, if you show interest in my research and consider to share your experience with me, no matter or not you finally to decide to be the participant, please scan the QR code and leave your university email to me before this weekend. I will connect you soon. Or if you have any questions, please send an email to me. You can see my email address in this poster. Okay, that's everything I would like to say. Thank you very much for your patient listening as well as your time. And I'm quite looking forward to your participation. Thank you very much. Thank you, Nayeli. That's everything.